The IDC supports 6 cluster plan projects which are working in the largest industrial clusters in the UK. They're working towards decarbonising their clusters, providing industrial decarbonisation oversight for the region. Industrial decarbonisation is a huge opportunity for the UK. The global market is developing at pace this decade, and the idea of this piece of work was to really bring together all the common points and the challenges so that they can be presented in one piece which really represents the status of industrial decarbonisation in the UK at the moment. So it's a really powerful piece of work which will help the national picture work towards low carbon industrial clusters by 2030 and net zero clusters by 2040.
What we see is that these regions have got real scope to become places where we get more inward investment because they will have the infrastructure that other people can use. But also crucially give these regions an opportunity to be thriving parts of the UK rather than declining parts of the UK. So we are seeing them as being centres where we will have lots of very valuable skills being developed and that those people will have very satisfying jobs because we know that people as a whole are really enthusiastic to be part of this decarbonising project that we've embarked on.
Focusing on clusters really allows us to go for the key emitters of greenhouse gases. And that's where the opportunity is. It allows us to sort of address a large number of industries and a large number of sectors at a stroke, whether that's in the glass sector, whether that's cement, whether that's steel. A lot of these sectors contribute significantly to those greenhouse gas emissions, contributing about 30% of the UK's GHG, which is also about 30% of our economy as well. So if we focus our efforts on industrial decarbonisations and specifically those that are clustered, we're going to go a long way to getting us towards a net zero future.
I think the recommendations from this report really support the delivery that industry needs to deploy these projects at scale. The investment, the supply chain, the skills, bringing people together, thinking about more diverse workforce transition, the green skills and green economy, which is all essential to be able to deploy these projects at the scale that we need to.
So the actions that I would want to see off the back of today, it is around comms. How do we, I guess, galvanise these messages that we know now there is a gap for skills. We know that almost 80 projects, infrastructure projects, locally, regionally, nationally, internationally, all happen between 2025 and 2029. That's going to require a much larger workforce than we've got at the moment. How do we facilitate that? So to me, comms is crucial because if we don't get those young people in that pipeline now, there just won't be the people locally.
So what I'd like to see off the back of this report and these recommendations is a real sort of doubling down on how we can recreate our industrial clusters as decarbonised, green places of the future. What's the range of investment and businesses that we can attract to those regions, and how can that help with local regeneration and investment into those communities?
What I would like to see happen from this going forward is really for industry and government and the institutional sectors to collaborate with each other. The role of that industrial decarbonisation challenge has been to sort of kickstart this effort into identifying the business models, identifying the strategy, identifying the priorities that we will need to decarbonise our clusters. Now it's for other sectors to take on that mantle and kind of run with the baton, as it were, to implement and execute a lot of the recommendations which are coming forward.
I think we need real vigour and speed on the industrial cluster work, the vision from government, the mechanisms to deliver on the investment that will be needed. We need to inspire people to come into this sector to fill the many high quality new jobs.
But I think following through is obviously important on those 5 recommendations. There are recommendations for government in there are recommendations for industry, there's recommendations around jobs particularly for the education sector, And I think pulling all of those things together as a group, we all own the problem, we need to all own the solution. I'm speaking as somebody from industry obviously, but I must work closely with government and they must work closely with me and with education and with civil society here to be able to move the whole of the decarbonisation story forward at speed, and it's the speed that we need to be able to get the country towards net zero by 2050.
This has never been done before at this scale, so we really need to get behind these recommendations to ensure we can deliver these ambitious plans.
I think what we're feeling after the event we've just had is a real sense of pride in the achievements of the cluster plan developers themselves and in the work that we've all done as a community to draw those plans together into something with real impact. We've got a group of stakeholders here who can really help with implementing the recommendations of the plan, and people are really waking up to that fantastic opportunity for the UK.